Okay, next page is going to talk about partnering with companies or other programs, things like that. So obviously it's hard to make a difference by yourself, especially when you're very small. When picking your partners, instead of looking for who is like you, look for someone who wins when you win. So they have a need, you have a need, those two needs come together and they help people as well as you and your potential partner. It must be a two-way street, and you must understand what a meaningful relationship is for your partner in order for you to both share success. So you're not going to go to somebody and say, hey, I need A, B, and C. Can you give it to me? And they're going to be like, well, what's in it for me? Because that's always the first question. Well, what am I going to get out of this? So you have to make sure that you're identifying the right partners before you approach them and put it into terms that make sense to them. Listen, we're going to partner to do this event. And we're all going to come together on this particular day, and it's going to give you a chance to have access to the constituents of our church. And you can put brochures out on tables, and you can have 2 minutes at the podium to talk to them. And that would be very appealing to a new business in town, right? So now you're giving them something that they desperately need, that they would have to pay for otherwise. But in the same turn, they're giving you a venue to where you can hold an event. So try to be creative, think outside of the box, but try to find some potential partners. And also think about why they make sense. So like I said, think outside of the box, think about the mutual benefits. Your partners should share a customer base or have complementary bases. They may be looking for philanthropic fulfillment. A lot of businesses are still looking for tax write-offs. And they are also perhaps, like I said, new to the community. So they're looking to create awareness for what they're offering, whether it's a product or a service. Maybe changing an image or a boost in their image, touting their expertise. Also looking at your marketing resources as something they can piggyback on, and vice versa. So you always want to make sure that it's a two-way street, that you're getting what you need and that they're getting what they need, and that you come to the table bringing those things together and talk through them and make sure that when you leave the table, you're both happy with what's going to be received at the end of the day. Also, employee morale and a platform for new products or services. So when I say employee morale, I know that oftentimes businesses, small, medium, and large, and when I say small, technically in corporate America, it's 1,000 people or less is considered a small business. So we all qualify for that. Oftentimes, they are looking for projects to do, like a one-off, a one-day of service. Maybe it's team building, executive management, or mid-management. So how are you approaching your local businesses and saying, we'd love it if you guys would come and spend 2 hours with us, color with the kids, prepare food, serve food, help in any way that you possibly can. Maybe it's that you guys provide driving for us. We're taking a group of kids to an event, cultural or spiritual, whatever, and we need, 6 drivers and cars and whatnot. Whatever that is, of course, liability and insurance, you always have to look into that. But the point is, reach out to them and see how they'll get involved with your program. Maybe they don't want to do a year-long or a 6-month or a 3-month or a 30-day program, but they might come in on a Saturday and help you pick weeds and plant flowers. Or, like I said, prepare food or serve it. So from those types of activities, if it's fun, if they have a good time, it gives them a great opportunity to write a press release and send it out to the media. Hey, our executive team, CEO, blah, 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 and his team were recently at St. Luke's, where they helped prepare meals for children in need, or they helped to grow an herb garden that supports the food pantry, or whatever it is. They love that kind of stuff. They take a nice photo, it goes up on a wall in their business, and people come in and they go, oh, that's so nice. Look how they support the community. So it's a win-win for everybody.
There are companies locally and their branches that do this kind of work. I know Comcast goes into St. George's and Riviera Beach and paints for a day. But what would probably be helpful is to start compiling those lists of organizations that have a broader base throughout the South Florida area, to know that they do that kind of work, so other churches can possibly connect with them and get some support. We actually have had a national organization out of Chicago contact us at Episcopal Charities. They were coming to South Florida to do team building with their upper management, and they were going to be in Miami. And they want, the man that called me, he worked with Episcopal Charities in Chicago. And so he knew about what Episcopal Charities does. So he contacted us to see if there was an organization that we could suggest that maybe they could work with in Miami. And we did give them several ideas. So there's a lot of merit in that. And those done in a day kind of projects are wonderful for these kinds of organizations.
And I will say this, they love to have exposure and hands-on with the kids, whether it's finger painting or helping them. Like we had the executive team from JM Lexus come to our stable, and they actually got to be sidewalkers. We gave them a very quick tutorial on how to be a sidewalker, and they got to walk with the kids during their lesson. So they had their arm on the thigh of a child, and they got to go through an obstacle course, and they had so much fun with that. And it was a day out of the office. They didn't know where they were going. They came with their jeans and their team t-shirts on, and they were ready to do it. We didn't make them pick stalls. We didn't make them, do the compost bin and throw manure out into the paddocks or anything like that. But it was just a really fun experience. So make it fun. Find out what's meaningful for them. What are you guys looking to do? Well, we want to come and have a day of service. We'd like to do something with the kids. Okay, we'll customize something that's really fun for you, and always have a photographer on hand because it's all about the images. So at this point, what I'd like you to do on this page is identify some potential partners. Who can you go out to? Try to name 3, whether it's a business or it's a like-minded program, it's a school, whether it's high school or a college or university or something like that. Try to come up with 3 at this point that you can reach out to see how they might be able to partner with you, or that you can offer them a day of service.
So what, for clarification, pick a program that is within your church that you can offer.
Right.
And don't pick a business that you're already
Partnering with. No,
Yeah.
this is all new.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying
These are
to
new.
expand the
Like,
net
for
here.
instance, your back to school event, Carol. Who out there could you possibly partner with that you haven't before? And would it ever be appropriate to bring them in if it were a business and have them have a little table like the fire department does and everything, so that
In addition to, I mean,
Yeah.
you go on,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to just comment on the back-to-school program. Walgreens is a big
Yes.
supporter,
Yes.
and
And McDonald's. And McDonald's.
Debbie works at Walgreens, so that was a natural tie-in. For the life of me, I have no idea what, for the working group, not us, what are the companies that our people work for? Who's employing a part of our congregation? I just have no idea. Well, I know a couple, maybe, the landscape people and so forth. But is that a source that we could tap? First of all, the landscaping people, maybe they offer programs we're not aware of. I have no idea. I just don't know.
Many churches do not
What our
know what their
population looks
people
like.
do. They don't know. They need something and they have no
I
idea.
think that would be kind of a universal thing.
Yeah, the
It's
problem I'm
really-
having, I guess, with trying to write down some thoughts, is that there is one heck of a lot more knowledge in our congregation than exists in my head or Pat's.
Yeah, that's right.
And so a number of my notes say, survey parish work. Sit down. In business, we used to have an idea session. If we're going into a new program, a new product, whatever. And people were invited to throw out any idea regardless of, nobody could laugh. As wild as it may be, it was written down.
Right.
And more stuff came out of that, which was useful to whatever the purpose of the meeting was in the first place. So I feel at a loss, really, of defining some specific things without talking to the whole host of people we have already in existence that have a lot more ideas than I do.
saying is we're going to leave that page blank.
No, but that's okay. And you know what? It actually opens up a wonderful opportunity for you to actually start, if you will, a focus group or an advisory committee of some sort. You know, again, you want to go after the low-hanging fruit, right? Your volunteers, the people who attend your church, are the best people to turn to when you need help. And people like to be asked for help. They want to help. You just need to ask them. So what you might do is say, you know what, we're putting together this group. We're trying to come up with some new ideas on how we can create awareness in the community. We're going to meet for coffee on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. Please join us. We're having just this brainstorming session of, you know, A, B, and C. We'd love your feedback. We'd love your input. Please join us in having this conversation. And then you're going to get to know a lot of things about who attends your church. And within your church, you might find out that you have the president or owner or a, you know, C-level executive from a corporation or a business that you've never even realized was attending your church, and maybe this is a new potential partner for you, but you haven't established that relationship yet. So, oh, do you know that person, Carol? I would love it if you could introduce us. That would be terrific. Maybe next Sunday after church, you can walk me over and make an introduction. That would be terrific. I would appreciate that, you know? And so those are meaningful ways to get your parishioners involved. But to also, you know, you can't move forward. You're not a one-man army. This takes a village, if you will, right? So the more people that you can get on board and the more you can learn about the people that you are serving, the better you're going to be, the stronger you're going to be.
One of the things we do at my church at Holy Trinity, I'm the newcomer chair, and one of the things that we do is the newcomers that come and we get to know them a little bit and we find out what they do. We don't hit them right away, but we have people that nobody ever would know. We have a chef in a really fancy restaurant. We asked him and he said, oh yeah, I'd host something for you.
Right.
But that's not something in a big church you would ever find out.
Right.
So there are ways to do that, especially through newcomer programs, I think sometimes. And to do we're starting a little program that we go to a afternoon service at church and we walk across the street to Morton's restaurant that has a bar and a happy hour.
How terrible.
I know. And we are having happy hour over there and getting to know our new people. Yeah.
Okay, so forget the coffee idea. Make it happy hour.
They're doing the service first, and then they're going across the street, and we're finding out a lot about these people, you know.
Finding out more than they even thought they disclosed.
Well, that may be. Did I tell you that?
They're rich.
Do you all keep a database somewhere online about who your parishioners are? Not online?
Or within our office, it's computerized, but not online.
On a computer, software somewhere. Okay, so maybe what you could do is, in all of your spare time, is invite 10 people at a time to join you for something fun. And just spend an hour, you know, coffee and donuts or cheese and wine, whatever it is that you prefer, and just chat and get to know people. I think that's really meaningful. It gives people an opportunity. So that's a great thing to do, yes.
I think one thing, most churches have, it's a church membership directed database as opposed to a, say, donor database. Right. And so it doesn't have the same, it doesn't even seek the same information that we would like from a donor perspective.
Right.
So if you have one that has comment sections,
you can add in.
Just add those there. I've worked with ours trying to create opportunities for what we would have collected from donors or on donors or donor prospects. So if you can work within your database and put what somebody's current position is, where comments go, or former positions.
Right.
But,
and the other thing also that Bonnie made me think of is that when you are inviting people to be a part of a program, specific program, to volunteer, ask them to attend first as a non-volunteer and just see if they like it. Ask questions, find out if it's a good fit for them before you just go, okay, this is what it's going to be, and you know, whatever. So it's kind of like, how many of you have board members, boards of trustees, anything like that?
The
vestry, right? I'm sorry. Yes. Language, yes. So when you're reaching out to somebody to join the vestry, you know, there's a job description, if you will. They have to understand what the responsibilities are and all that sort of stuff. They get to come and view it before they agree to take it on, if you will. But it's the same thing with your volunteers. If you're asking them to take on a large role within the church or within a program, you want to make sure it's a good fit for them, that they're not showing up the first day going, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? Yes.
Okay, one need that I'm finding now, we're serving more Hispanics with the food bank. And I'm just trying to figure out a way that I can have a volunteer there every week who can communicate with that person that I cannot. So I guess I can go to the different churches and ask for them to do on a rotating basis someone who is bilingual.
So you're in Kendall.
I'm in Coconut Grove.
Coconut Grove.
I'm in
Okay.
Dade County.
So what I'm getting to is you are in an area that has a lot of Latins. You're also close to a huge college, University of Miami. So what I would recommend to all of you, and this is actually something I talk about later in here, is reaching out to your local universities and schools, high schools, colleges, universities. They usually have a community outreach person or department, division, and you can tell them, this is the criteria, this is what we're looking for, here are the hours needed. Please send people our way. We will train them. I know Spirit of Giving Network actually does a volunteer training program. If you want to send people down to Boca Raton, they actually do fingerprinting and scanning for you as well, which is required for a lot of nonprofit programs nowadays. It's free. It's paid for through a grant through the VEGSO Community Foundation. And it's a great program, and they do it twice a week. So there are resources to get volunteers trained. That's a bit far for where you are, so I'm sure you have somebody that can work with that. But also, perhaps it's somebody that you're feeding in your program that would want to give back, that wants to say, you know what, thank you for supplying me with food. How can I help you?
Yeah, but that person didn't show up yesterday, but I found another person, so I can kind of like...
Well, but you need somebody consistent, and you need more than one, because you don't want them to get burned out. But oftentimes what the students are required is community service. So you can tap into that. It's a great local resource, and so many nonprofits are not doing that. And the other thing, as I'm on this topic, is interns. So many kids in college, university need to do an internship of some sort. So you can get these kids to come in and help you. And it doesn't cost you anything. It takes time to train them, but it's good for them. It's good for you. It's a win-win for everybody, and it's free. So you need to look at that.
You mentioned the university. I know University of Miami we have a presence, a physical presence with Frank Corbishley, so maybe he could hook you up with Venerable Bees.
Sometimes, you know what, if you send an email, follow up with a phone call, they'll forward the email. If you create a flyer, they can put it up on a bulletin board somewhere where students have access to it, or they forward it to whoever's in charge of the community outreach to add it in a newsletter or whatever method of communication they're reaching out to their students.
Actually, here for Martin County Indian River State College, any information that goes on any bulletin board has to go through the provost office first.
Right, so that's why I say reach out to the community outreach office first and find out what the necessary steps are, but they're usually really good about wanting to help.
And what Megan was saying, actually most of the universities now actually have a specific volunteer, like UM has a volunteer, either assistance center or volunteer leadership center. It has a specific name, and because the kids are required for so many service hours to
Right.
graduate.
Yep.
But most of them have, and then they do the legwork to get the approvals on the flyers or whatever it is. So they do all that legwork.
So you just need to tap into those resources. They're there and ready for you to make available. Yes, George?
Carol works her tail off trying to get people like us to participate. I don't know if this is a fair question, and as you've known me long enough, you can tell me to shut up if it is. What frustrates you the most as a rector in getting people to volunteer or participate? Our age population is probably higher than a number of parishes, which might be an influence. We're getting lazier and lazier. But if you want to answer it, think about it.
No, I can
What
tell you
bothers you?
I think right now is that so many people's lives have so many time demands on them that the actual volunteerism time has decreased. So it then falls on staff. I call us the default guys, because if someone doesn't show, we have, for any position,
Right.
we have to plug it in
Right.
some way or another, which means calling upon other volunteers to step up at a last minute or whatever.
Or stopping what you're doing to cover it, right?
Exactly. It's just like the idea of the Facebook. It's a wonderful idea. It has gone through our vestry. We've looked at it. Basically, the staff said, we don't have time to monitor a Facebook. We're struggling just to do the media stuff and the website, which is excellent, by the way. The website is very, very good. But at the same time, we could then not find a volunteer to monitor Facebook. So you can't just leave an unattended Facebook. So the option was just not to do it. So it's the idea that ideas are wonderful and we're partnering in a lot of different ways, but it is when you come back to just volunteer, George.
Well, I think you bring up a valid point, and that is do what you know you can do successfully. Goes back to me saying before, don't throw spaghetti at the wall and hope that it sticks. Pick 3 things you know you can do and do well. If you can't do Facebook, then don't waste your time on it. If you can identify a high school or college student who perhaps attends church here, who would be willing to say, I'll take an hour a week, because it doesn't need more than that, to upload photography, to update, people that follow, because again, who is on your Facebook page? It's your younger generation, your future leaders within the parish. It only takes an hour a week. You could do 10 minutes twice a week, whatever that is. Make that person an administrator on the page, somebody, of course, who's trustworthy, who you have confidence in, that's not going to post things that are inappropriate. And task them with that. That's not a big task. Maybe it's the son or daughter of somebody who is at a higher level with, on the vestry or something like that. But if you can't do that, don't fret it. In time, you will make available these additional ideas when you have the resources set in place. But if you are doing the website well and doing other marketing elements well, then keep going with that. But keep in mind, staying the same course is great, but it doesn't allow for growth. So at some point you need to step out a little bit, but do it when you're ready to, not before so.